market update. So again, I don't skate to where the puck is, I skate to where the puck is going to be, and I skate there faster than anyone else. That needs to be your job as a real estate investor. The best way for us to know where that puck is going in real estate is to know the trajectory of that puck over the last year, right? So I will tell you, last year was probably our best year ever, and 2022 is going to also expected to be our best year ever. So these are the full forecasts, are the full year stats for Texas for 2021, as well as the forecast for 2022. So last year our sales were up 6.1%. Versus 2020, so we sold over 416,000 units, and then 2020 was up over 2019, 2019 was up over 2018, 2018 was up over 2017, so we've had great results over the last, since roughly 2012 in Texas. So we've been 10 years in an up market here in Texas, and many parts of the United States as well. But a typical market cycle is what? 3 to 5 years up, 1 to 3 years down, 3 to 5 years up, 1 to 3 years down. So people have been saying we are at the top of the market cycle for about the last 5+ years. But I can tell you, based on certain factors that are happening here in Texas and also around the United States, that that's not the case. Last year in Texas, the average price was up 18.1% versus 2020. So the average price finished at $372,700. And our normal results in Texas are closer to, like, our 40-year average is probably closer to about a 5 to 6% increase year over year. And so this obviously is beat it by 3x. The forecast for 2022 sales, I expect them to be up. I don't expect them to be up at the same percentage as they were last year, and not because we have less demand, but because we have less and less and less inventory. So I'm going to be crossing my fingers, hoping and praying that we get to the finish line at up 5%. But I will tell you that that year-over-year sales price will be up at least 20%. Again, because we have the demand and we don't have the supply. So the roll-up last year, if you want to break down average price, median price, days on market, months of inventory, total closed sales, and active listings in Texas is the top part of this graph for those of you guys who are watching online. For those of you guys who are watching live and watching the video, for those of you guys who are on our podcast, you could just head over to our YouTube channel and be able to find these results as well. The forecast, again, as the bottom half of this graph, so it's just one graph that kind of shows them all together. And I'll break down all of the major markets in Texas as well, just so you know how those are performing, since we invest all over Texas. So for the January results, and I know it's March 1st, but we don't. The markets have not closed yet officially. So most of the markets, the MLSs don't finalize their data until mid-month. So we'll be publishing the February results probably around March 15th or so. But last month in Dallas, the average sales price was up 17% to $412,000, and the closed sales were up 4% at over 7,100 homes sold. In Dallas right now, Dallas and Fort Worth, 54 County, North Texas area, there's less than a 1-month supply of inventory. So just, I want to kind of go ahead and clear up something just in case you guys are new to this concept of months of inventory. Many of you guys have already heard of the concept of days on market, right? How long it takes for a property. And some of you guys may be confused about that. It's actually how long it takes from the day it goes active in the MLS to the day it goes pending in the MLS. It does not take into account the extra 30 to 45 plus days that it takes to close. And that's also something that I find a lot of brand new investors don't take into account in terms of estimating their holding time and their cash flows as well. So all of you guys are probably familiar with this concept of days on market, but maybe not many of you guys are familiar with the concept of months of inventory. So months of inventory basically represents the amount of time that we would have an inventory of homes for sale if we stopped listing houses today, based on the buyer demand, the average buyer demand that we've had over the last 12 months. So in Dallas, if we stopped listing houses in Dallas today, in 0.9 months, so not even 1 month, we would be completely out of an inventory of homes for sale. And to give you some perspective, the 40-year average in Texas has been closer to about 6 months of inventory in a typical market, so this is very atypical for us. And that's one of the things that's also causing that big increase in those average, in that average price. The forecast specifically for the 2021 actuals for Dallas year to date, the sales were down 1%, but the average price was up 20%. The forecast for 2022 is I'm thinking that our sales will be up somewhere in the 1 to 3% range. I'll be happy if they're flat. Dallas would be happy if they're flat. If they're flat, or even if they're down just a little, it's not that there's less demand in Dallas, it's that there's no inventory in Dallas, right? And the forecast increase for the average price up 18 to 20%, again, as a result of not having any inventory, and also because of the increase in labor, the increase in material, the inexperience of labor, and the high demand for labor, which is pushing some of these projects out much longer than they would historically be for both renovations as well as for new builds too. For the Houston market, the average price was $378,000, up 16% in January. Closed sales were up 7%, just under 6,500 units. Houston has the most inventory of any of the major markets in Texas at 1.4 months of inventory, and that's why the average price is not as through the roof as some of the other markets. So if you look at the 2021 actuals for Houston, the number of sales were up 10.3% versus 2020. The average price was up 16% versus 2020. The forecast for 2022, Houston's going to have the biggest sales jump of all of the major markets, quite simply because Houston actually has some inventory left, right? And then the average price up again in that 10 to 15% range as well. For the Austin market, so Austin, for those of you guys who are not aware, I did a little research to try and figure out where the word Austin came from. And as it turns out, the word Austin is Latin. Its root word is San Francisco. That's funny. Okay, I'm gonna give me a while to work on that joke. Okay, give me a while. Give me a do-over. I'll make it up to you. I promise. Average price in Austin, $575 last month, up 25.5%. Closed sales are down. Well, of course they're down. We only have 0.4 months of inventory, where in a typical market we have up to 6 months of inventory. The actuals year-to-date sales were up 2.5%. Our full year results in 2021, sales were up 2.5%, which is a miracle because we spent most of the year in Austin below 1 month of inventory. And as a result of being 1 month of inventory, we had an average price increase of 29.3%. The forecast for 2022, I'm really going out on a limb here. I will be impressed if we get 0. I'll be thrilled if we get a 2% increase in sales year over year. Again, not because of lack of want and demand, but because of lack of inventory. The lack of inventory will also have us in a position where we're looking at prices increasing about 30% year over year. In the San Antonio market, probably one of the most affordable markets in Texas, but that's quickly disappearing as well. Average price was $351,000, up 17%. Sales were down, but only 1% last month. The forecast for San Antonio for next year, this year, 2022, sales volume up in that 3 to 5% range, and average price up in that 15 to 18% range. So, guys, does this give you a little bit of direction of where the puck has been and where the puck is going for the rest of the year and probably for the next 3 to 5 years, right? So it's a great time to hold property in Texas, great time to buy property in Texas. And I'll tell you, I've invested in markets where there was 9 months of inventory, and I've invested in markets where there was 0.4 months of inventory. And I can promise you, it is a lot more fun to invest in the market that we are in right now, even though we still have disruptions and challenges. So guys, I want to do a very quick special announcement as we go through to the next part of the presentation as well. So I will tell you that 2020, 2021, and 2022 have given us a little opportunity to rethink how we run a real estate investor association. So when we first started Texas REIAs, we ran it like every other investor association out there, which is basically, hey guys, let's get together every month, let's share tribal knowledge, let's do a market update, let's share different strategies that are working right now, and let's share some success stories, and let's work together to get better. And what I found is that that model basically results in you guys having all of the information that you could need to be a real estate investor in about 1 to 3 years? How many of you guys want to be on that path? That'd probably be no, right? Think about it. It's like, no, I want to, now is good, so is now, right? So what we did over the last 2 years is we rethought how we fulfilled membership into Texas REIAs. So before we would kind of just 3 hours a month, yeah, sure, see you at the finish line, like, while my clothes are still in style, I hope, right? So what we've done is we have instead created a workshop. So you guys come to our Tuesday meeting, and then you go to our workshop, and then you got all the information you need to be a real estate investor. So at our workshop, we will teach you the 12 strategies that we have used in all different parts of the market cycle to stay alive, to survive, to thrive. And we'll share with you what we're doing right now, and we'll share with you how you can make money anytime the phone rings, no matter what the equity position is on that property. We'll also share the different marketing campaigns that we have used over the years as well, so you can find those off-market deals, because I don't want any of you guys to fall into that cognitive bias of the streetlight effect, right? The drunkard's principle, and try to find your deal on the MLS, because what I can promise you is your deal is not there, right? You've got to have different ways to be able to do marketing to be able to find those deals. We'll also teach you what we call the exactly what to say. So these are the scripts that we use. We've talked to thousands of sellers, right? We've helped thousands of real estate investors, and we know what all the objections are. We know how to overcome the objections. We know what the next objection is. We know how to overcome that. So for those of you guys who don't have any experience in sales, we can help you with that as well, giving you what we call the exactly what to say for the real estate investor to be able to close those deals. We'll also introduce you to several partners that can help you on your deal. So if you're like, I don't want to, that Shanoa lady scared me a little bit, I don't want to do this alone. Don't worry, we have lots of folks that are longtime members and our personal associates as part of the Investor Association that would love to help you and partner with you and split profits with you on your next deal. And of course, we have access to a ton of funding and funding resources as well. And one of the cool things that we are doing right now, and I basically said that what I told Phil is that I was going to do this for free while people are still wearing masks. And there is one person in the room tonight, Daniel. You guys thank Daniel right now, because if none of you guys were wearing a mask, like we've been doing this for free for 2 years. That's the commitment I made to Phil. It's like, this is a crazy time. Let's do this for free until people were stopped wearing masks. Yes. Phil just said I committed for 2 months that turned into 2 years. So if whoever gave Daniel the mask outside, you can again thank Daniel, because he's the only reason we're doing it for free, because normally we would charge for this. And I think this is probably because you're the only one here that's wearing the mask. I think this is probably the last month we'll do this. After this, we're going to start charging just like we were pre-March of 2020. So guys, if you'd like to join us to get all of your education all in one sitting, we've got several different training events coming up. So we do this both live and in person. So our next training event will be at the Omni South Park in Austin, March 11th, 12th, and 13th. So we do this both live and in person, and then we also simulcast via Zoom for those who join us online because of job issues, or because of kiddo issues, or because of just I don't want to get in traffic today issues. No problem. We can handle that as well. And then we also have workshops planned in Dallas and Fort Worth, because again, we invest all over Texas. So that one is scheduled for April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then one in Houston scheduled for April 8th, 9th, and 10th. So love to have you guys there and get it while the getting's good, because I think we are very close to being done with what's been going on over the last several years. So for those of you guys who are watching live and in person, what I'll ask you to do is just pull out your camera and pull out your camera and then just focus it on the screen here on this QR code. As you do that, you'll have your Safari or your internet browser will pop up, and then you'll be able to click on that We'll ask you to get registered for the event so that we know you're coming and we can plan the room accordingly. We'll also ask you a couple of questions so we know what your experience is and what you are looking to achieve as a real estate investor. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and filling that out right now, and then we'll be able to get you registered for that event. Now, for those of you guys who are watching online, so a big hello to you guys, there should be a link just right below that you guys can click if you are watching online.